Assalamualaikum and welcome to a new video in this channel, and in today's video we are going to talk about the making of a Jawa pen. Now with regards to Jawa pens, they are sort of quite brittle. Not everyone likes to use them, but at certain point you have to learn how to make them, or you can use them for scripts such as the thuluth. They are quite good for 3mm size thuluth, like small sizes of thuluth, also big sizes, but the small sizes they excel out. Also they are really good for diwani and ruqa. They are a bit sharp for naskh, so I would say that you should try them for yourself, then you would sort of decide which script you're going to use them for. Now with regards to the Jawa piece, which is the top part here, it comes in different sizes, as you can see here. So with regards to the size, I guess this is something you have to sort of figure out for yourself. So here are 3 pens that are made by Master Affan, which I've previously mentioned in some videos, but I'm going to put a link to his Instagram page down in the description. He's from Thailand, and he's a great calligrapher, along with being a really good pen maker, paper maker. He basically makes everything by himself, so he's really talented. This one, or actually these 2, are a gift from him. This one I got this year, but yeah, he gifted me this pen that he won a prize with, so I'm really proud of it. So, and he has this amazing thing with these pens, so he basically fits the nib on this part, and you could have several nibs that you could change. I'm not sure if he ships around the world, but I met him in Jordan and he was so generous and he gifted me this pen, so I kept it, and I don't think I've actually used it except for a few times because I just want to keep it. So yeah. You've got several sizes. You've got the big ones that are really controversial when it comes to writing with big sizes, in the what's called with this pen, the Jawa pen. But you should try it for yourself and see how it works for you. Now, to start with the Jawa pen, you need the first part, the top part of it. Now this comes as a long stripes, as I said. I'm going to put a link to the video that I talked about them before, but I didn't talk about them in details. But in this video I want to make it a separate one to discuss them. You get these parts alone, and you need to get a handle. Now handles, you could choose whatever handle you want, as long as they are solid enough, big enough and heavy enough to fit a Jawa piece on them. You could use normal bamboo like this one. You just get this and you fit the nib to one side, which we'll look into in a bit. Unfortunately, I don't have a piece that we're going to work with, but I've got these that I've fitted the nibs with, but didn't carve them. So we're going to use one of these. Now let's say that you couldn't find this thing, the bamboo, nor these things that Ustad Affan, Master Affan uses. What I've done here is that I went to a carpenter and I asked them for a piece of wood that is cut within 15 to 17 centimeters of length. Now they have these really pretty oak tree like ready to use things. So these come in a very long lengths, like 2.5 meters. I think they use them for furniture, and I asked the guy to give me like a piece and cut it with 15 centimeters, and I asked him to dig or like make holes in it on one side. So these holes here he made for me with a 4mm diameter driller, let's say. Now, if he didn't get this, so you basically get this shape. So when he cuts it for you, you would get this thing, and you could use a nail to make a small nudge back here, so that when you fit your drill, it will basically drill through the wood because it's dangerous. But when you drill it, you don't hold it with your hand and you use the drill this way. No, what happens is that you would put it on a table, on the edge of a table, and you would use something to hold these with, but not your hand. There are those fasteners that you just put on top of them, and you would basically start drilling this side. I'm talking about this because if you don't have the, let's say, you have the tools to do all of this, but if you didn't have the tools, never mind, just ask the guy to drill you a hole at one side of them. So you get the thing, you basically get the piece which will have an opening on one end, and you would insert this easily through here. So imagine that this is the piece and you would simply insert it here. It goes in easily. You could take some of the sides to make it smaller in order to be easier to fit in. Now when you fit it in, you have to keep an eye on this thing. So you want the piece to be slightly pointing towards the paper. So here, the inside, which is the side with the small opening. This small opening, by the way, is from the Jawa itself. It's always there. It's always curved this way because the Jawa has two sides. A side that is really curvy, this one, and the other side is flat. So the side that is curvy, it has to point to that side. So when you fit it, you put it slightly pointing towards that side, not with a much, like very small distance or slantation, and you put super glue in here. Super glue works fine, so don't bother yourself with any other type, and you leave it till it dries. With regards to the length of this, put it as 2.5 centimeters. It doesn't harm you to have it long, because at the end of the day you can hold the pin from here or from back here. So with regards to the length, the longer the better. Now after you fit it like I did here, you would start working on it. The first thing I personally do is I get rid of this part. So here you've got these rough edges of the Jawa piece. So I personally just get rid of these before I start working on the pin. Now it gets really soft at the end, so you would use a cutter, as we usually do, and you would basically grind this part or sand it basically. After I finish with this, I start working on the pin itself. So with Jawa, it's really brittle, it's really hard, so you need to be careful working on it. The same steps, holding this way, pushing with your left thumb on your right thumb, and just digging in. Now, you will find that with Jawa, you need to be careful because also the nib isn't a part of the handle that you are holding. So with that, you need to be delicate and careful. You don't want to break the nib while working on the pin. At the same time, you don't want the pin to take ages to make. So you keep cutting until you reach to a dark edge. So you can see that there's some whites in here. And this is also with regards to the quality of the Jawa piece. So a better quality would be like this. It would be pitch black, it would be dark. No white pieces at all in it. So this is a really good quality piece. Meanwhile, this one has some white in it. So it's not as hard as that piece. So as you can see here, we've got the curvature. And you don't do much with that, like just take some of it, because personally I prefer to sort of do most of the work using sanding paper. And you could check the top part of it and you will see that it will start to become really thin. All of these are steps that you could perfect in real life. It's hard to sort of get the details on a video because you need a magnifying glass to make that happen. So you've decreased the size into this thing, the curvature. With regards to the length, this is different from the bamboo one. You don't need that much of a length because it's a different type of pens. Then what you will do is basically I rather start with the sanding than the cuts for the pen. So you get yourself a nice rounded object like the inkwell, and you would put this around it, and you would start sort of sanding it to get a better surface, because when you do sort of carving with the cutter itself, you end up with uneven surfaces, and you need to fix that. You could use the sanding paper on a curved surface, or you could just put it on your finger and give it a good sand, just like this. And the thing with sanding paper is that it shows when you sand it. So here you can see that there are parts on this side that hasn't been sanded. This means that the right side is still coarser than the left side. So you could continue with that. What you need to keep an eye on is the orientation of the pen and the thicknesses on both sides. So this side is a bit thicker than this side. You need both sides to be the same thickness. So you continue with the sanding until you perfect it. It gets really nice and soft. With regards to the let's say sanding paper roughness, you could start with the hard one, which is 180, and go all the way back to go all the way down to the thousands, like the 1200 and the 1400 and the 2000, 4000. So it's all up to you, but personally I just do it with this. Now the other side, once you finish this, you go to the other side and you do this side here. You take the tip of the pen and you basically give it some slant, like you want it to point towards this side so that the ink would flow quicker. And you could do that actually by putting a sanding paper again on the table and holding the pen this way on the other side of it and just dragging it, but not for much. So as you can see here, you can see the lines when the whole thickness is actually giving trail on the paper. So you would do that, as we can see here. It looks like a knife. Yeah, this is looking good. This is looking good. So this way you got yourself a nice flat surface on this side, and you've got also the tip of the pen to become even, just like this. And now you could do the cut of the pen like we did for the previous pens, and the same thing, you just need to cut it after getting the right angle that you need to work on. So you put the pen here, you choose your angle for the script that you want the pen to be used for, and you simply press on it until it breaks. Now with Jawa it's harder than the normal bamboo and other types, so you need to be extra careful with Jawa because it's really brittle and hard. Now here I've got the cut, as you can see. I could give it some sanding, but not a lot, just a few. So when I sand the Jawa pen, you would, as Master Afan explained to me, you would do an alif letter, just like this. Do the other side, but not for a lot. Then do the lower side, then come back, and that's it. You don't overdo it. You don't want to damage the pen. You could do the top part of it. Now I've muted the video with regards to these parts because I don't want them to sort of be loud. And you would go back to this side to just perfect it. And now it's just fine tuning of the tip of the pen because you want it to be really neat and sharp. So you can give it a try if you want. And for that we need to clean this a bit. I'm going to use blue ink with this, I guess, and again I've cut it for Ruqa and Diwani, so let's give it a try. Oops. The lovely thing about the Jawa is its hardness. Some calligraphers don't really like it, but I really love how brittle it is. I mean, depending on the script that you're gonna use or gonna write, the ductility of a pen is really important. Now, another thing about the Jawa is that it does make noise while writing, so you need to get used to that. So here you go. You've got our Jawa pen, writes really nice, and you could try and do letter waw with it in thuluth. Yeah. Looks good. Really happy with it. And yeah, this is how you make a Jawa pen. You need a handle, basically, and you need to fit the Jawa pen on top of this handle. And if you had a Jawa pen that is sort of, you dropped and it broke, you could now fix it. It's just being used to the hardness of this pen. I hope you enjoyed this video, and I've got a Facebook page that you will find in the sort of, or the channel itself, so go and follow me on Facebook. It's been a time since, it's been a while, I think it's been 7 years since I last used that, but yeah, I've made it to be able to communicate with people better. So yeah, like, share and subscribe to the channel, and see you in future videos. This has been Ammar Awadi. I hope you have a lovely day, evening or night, and goodbye.